the English translation of the Missal, and
yes.
that came into effect, I think, in this Advent of 2011, maybe.
Yes,
so,
that's right.
You know, some years ago. Looking back over those 4 years, you know, what are you hearing about the reception of that, about how the new translation has worked itself into the life of the community?
Well, interestingly enough, you know, I mean, our primary contact at the congregation is with bishops from throughout the world, and not only the English-speaking world, but other parts of the world that are dependent too upon the English Missal or use the English Missal in their cities. And you know, I often say to people that today the Latin of the world of this century is English, because it's the most spoken language in the whole of the world. And you might be interested to know that it was historically the first vernacular language ever to be developed. And we're talking about, you know, in the 6th to 7th centuries. So to know that the importance of English as a vernacular language is massively important, not only because of its history, but also because of the width in which it is spoken easily throughout the world. But bishops, getting back to your question, bishops will tell us that in the main, the Missal has been well received. There are some neuralgic points that everyone would point out. One of them, which interested me enormously, wasn't "and with your spirit." Of course, there was a lot of clamour about that before the Missal came out, but that seems to have been sort of accepted very, very, very easily. And then there was the word consubstantial, which you know, is one of those words which is very important theologically, and which is why it was retained by the Church.
When we're praying the Creed.
When we were praying the Creed.
Yeah, consubstantial with the Father, referring to
the
Jesus.
thing that really we had more correspondence about from the English-speaking world was that he descended into hell, which is in the Apostles' Creed. Right. Because previously it hadn't used the word hell. And people were writing to us and saying, you know, how could Jesus go to hell? It's ridiculous. And yet, you know, the fact that that hadn't been expressed as well as it should have been expressed in the previous translation of the Missal showed me how what was one of the central elements of the story of salvation was actually missing from the consciousness of people. They wanted him to go to a squeaky clean place right. and to redeem squeaky clean people.
Right. Where there would be nobody around with him.
But he went to hell, you know, to pull Adam and Eve out of that situation. So it's you know, language is very important. And like every translation, you know, you won't please everybody. But in time it will settle down, and I think in the main it has settled down. My own bishops in England and Wales tell me that, you know, things are fine, and we hear that elsewhere. You do get little groups who want to bang a drum about something, and they can use liturgy is a very easy thing to sort of bang a drum about. And because we all love the liturgy, it expresses our faith. And so we can get a little bit sort of hot and bothered about it.